Hey everybody, welcome back to Two Spot Monkeys live after a unfortunate 1 week break that was not intended after our Wrestlemania break. We were hoping to hit every week, but Tom, you were the sick monkey. I didn't put that out on Twitter who it was, but it was you. Are you feeling better, Tom? That's the important thing.
I'm probably about 95%, still a little sinus stuff going on, but for the most part, compared to where I was a week ago tonight, um, great, very great, very great. And
Good.
the irony here is I'm pretty confident I got sick because I went to my first live wrestling show in 30 plus months.
Well, the things we do for this podcast. I should say too, if anybody notices that Tom sounds just a little quiet, I can tell you're kind of talking a little quietly. It's not his voice or anything. He's in a hotel room. We're doing this. Tom is live on assignment for Two Spot Monkeys in the Detroit area, I think somewhere. But no, he's in a hotel room, so he's just trying to be a good neighbor and not wake up his neighbors as we talk about the wacky world of pro wrestling. Let's start actually with what you just said, Tom. You got to go to your first live show in 30 months. What that was since we last recorded, obviously. How'd it go? What was the experience? It was your first GCW show. You got your first AEW show coming up, or no? Did you go to it?
No, AEW's end of June.
In June, that's right.
Yeah,
I didn't think you've gone to that yet. GCW, you got to go to though. How'd it go? What was it? What was it like?
Yeah, so despite the fact that I came down with the head cold thing and the sinus junk, which was pretty nasty, no regrets. And
No regrets, yes.
no regrets. No, great time. GCW was a lot of fun. I would have loved to have talked more about it last week because it would have been more timely, and I think it would have been more clear in my mind the experience I had back on the 23rd of April. Nonetheless, I'll just say the Briscoes are insane. Bandito Live is a gem, and the ceiling is super high for Nick Wayne. There's so much more I could talk about, but I'll just say those things and just say I can't wait to go to GCW again. Also, just a bananas atmosphere. Just like, and like when I say that, I mean not just like their presentation, like the venue, the crowd, like it's a trip type of experience, and I would imagine that that's how it is anywhere you go, because I think GCW probably caters to a fan base of a specific breed or type. I don't necessarily know that I fall into that, so being around that, for people watching and for just the atmosphere to soak it in and to breathe it in, which I probably shouldn't have been breathing it in because that's how I got sick. But yeah, that's what it was. And again, so like, and we talked about it here. Like I had seen the big Hammerstein GCW show earlier in the year and had enjoyed that quite a bit. Had some big takeaways and some lows, and then going from that to live and in person was fun.
And I've heard a lot of people say that the Hammerstein wasn't, and I can see it from the other shows that I have seen, wasn't 100% GCW because New York has so many strict laws about blood and things like that. And there's almost always a death match. You got two in Detroit, I think, if I remember right, or maybe just one.
No, two.
There's almost always something like that. Plus, you had a high incident match, which ended in a draw, which I got to admit, a little bit of a weak way out. Now, I haven't seen it as it played out. Maybe it played out much better had I watched it. But when I read it, I was just like, man, that's a match you have to like settle something. And then to do a draw with it, I understand, but yet, I don't know. Did it come off better like live than me reading the...
So I thought the finish was creative.
Okay.
If you see the finish or if you've seen photos, the ending was not equal for both teams. So you could have, in essence, ruled that Team A beat Team B. That's of course not the story. So,
right.
They kind of overlooked that. No one in the crowd that I could tell was not pleased Everyone got on with the finish, and again, that match literally was brutal. Again,
poor Mark, crazy individuals.
Poor Mark Briscoe.
Well, I don't know. He does it to himself. I love Mark Briscoe, but
yeah.
And thoughts out to Mark and his family. Obviously, last weekend, I have heard his wife got to go home, so that's good. She was rushed to the hospital with some pregnancy complications, so they had to miss both GCW and PWG last week, which I'm sure they hated doing, but obviously far more important things were going on. So good thoughts to Mark and his wife and his family. I hope everything goes well. I know he's got like 900 kids. I think Jay actually has more, but that doesn't matter. You're expecting another one. You want it to go well. So hope everything goes well for them. Anything else we need to hit? Our big thing today is we're going to hit the head-to-head for WWE Wrestlemania Backlash, #Y. Because this still feels very Y. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I have not seen AEW. We're recording on Wednesday evening. I have not seen AEW from this evening yet. I just got home from a trivia night. Tom has seen it. We're not going to talk about that. But I'm liking a lot of what AEW is doing. I mean, we could spend a whole podcast talking about it, I'm sure. But I am liking what they're doing. I think they've got some momentum going into Double or Nothing and some other things that I'm kind of wondering what they're doing. I will say the one thing I don't like with AEW right now, stop playing hot potato with TNT title. Stop it. Let somebody have a run with that thing.
I think we're there now.
I think so. I hope so. I think so too, but I hope so.
But I think I might have said that as well with the last title switch. So
sure. Yeah. This title switch, especially the to Sammy and now back to Scorpio, made zero. Like, I don't understand why you needed to do it. I don't think it added anything to any character personally.
I think they are doing a really nice job. Whether it's intentional, it has to be intentional. This is their product, but it doesn't necessarily feel forced. That Sammy and Taynara Conti are completely getting to the point where they're crawling under your skin and really annoying you, and they're going to beat their heels. And their act is annoying, and so they're answering the call.
You're right, and I like that they've laid into that. Go ahead and let them be the heels. Don't try to make them the cool couple that everybody hates right now. But they're really good guys. We should, no, they're not. They're terrible people. That's the gimmick right now. So I'm sure they're wonderful people in real life, but their characters are terrible people. So yeah, I agree. I'm glad they've gone that way. I assume it was the intention, or if not, good job pivoting. But kudos to that on them. Man, again, as we've said before, so many people in AEW. I was thinking about some names earlier today that I'm like, House of Black is one. I know they have a segment tonight, so I'm curious to see how that goes. But or had a segment tonight, or they were supposed to. But man, Malachi Black feels like he should be used a lot more than they're using him. It should be a lot higher up the card and have things going on, and some other folks too. But we'll see. I hope also the Owen Hart tournament will maybe. Again, Malachi Black's not in that. I just said Malachi Black, but some other folks maybe you'll get some shine in that. I don't know. But the qualifiers have been fun, even if a couple of them, especially on the women's side, have been like, why are we doing this as a qualifier? Like, there's no way Britt Baker was losing to, I don't know, Rachel Rose or whoever in the world it was. She wrestled I can't even remember who it was, but it was like, come on, really? There's nobody else we could have put her against. Emi Sakura, there's a bunch of women that show up on Dark all the time. Use one of them. And I think this girl had to, but.
And I'm going to use the word shame, even though shame is probably not the best fit here. It's a shame that we're unable to record when we normally would this week, because the men's bracket gets finalized tonight, and it would have been nice to have picked that. It'll be underway by the time we come back next week.
Yeah.
Again, health willing. Again, I'm trusting that once I actually get back to 100%. Breathability and health ability, we're not missing a show again until we plan it.
Right, which might not be terribly long compared to what we as the calendar we just looked at, but hopefully not. We'll always try to do some backup stuff, like doing a late night Wednesday night show like we are this week. So Well, other things may come up, and if you know anything about listening to G-Spot Monkeys, we will squirrel off into some other random topic that has nothing to do with what we're talking about at random. So that'll be okay. But given that it is a late night, it'll probably be a little shorter of a show, I'm guessing. We probably won't go an hour and a half. In fact, I know we won't, because I'd like to eat dinner before I go to bed. So let's talk head-to-head, Tom. The head-to-head update. You have the scores in front of you, so I'll let you read off the scores so that I may bask in my glory.
Yep, absolutely. So entering this week and entering this pick'em, you have a 2-match lead. You are 38-18. I'm 36-20. The last event that we had scored, we combined the scores from WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2. We were each 8-6 coming off of that. With me coming in with a 2-match deficit, I will be picking first today, as has been our process in all attempts previous, unless there was, if you had gone in, I think, if correct me if I'm wrong, but if you would come under on the WrestleMania pick, I'm like 7-7, and I was 8-6, even though you were overall, you'd still pick first. But alas,
right, we usually use the record from the last event, and then the backup is the overall record.
Yep. So that's where we are, and
6 matches to pick here on this card, because either they're going to do a shorter show or they can't be bothered to tell us what's going to happen. And either thing seems possible. I'm thinking after 2 longer nights of WrestleMania, we might be looking at a 2.5, no more than 3-hour show here, which would be okay. Let me ask 2 questions before we start our picks, Tom. We'll just start with that there. And one is, are you planning to watch this show live on Sunday? And secondly, on a scale of 1 to 10, we started doing this last time. How excited are you for WrestleMania Backlash, whether you're going to watch it live or not?
Yep. So the answer is no, not watching live. It is Mother's Day.
It is a little strange.
Yep. So that is a definite.
I assumed it was, but I just wanted to ask.
Yep. That's a definite. I will be doing many other things that day, celebrating the mothers in my life and my wife, of course, mother of my children. So that's that. And it's interesting because my brother, who we used to always watch pay-per-views together, premium live events, his schedule changed, at his job. So he now is free Sunday nights heading into Mondays, when that wasn't the case 3 months ago. And we made a commitment to watch wrestling on Sundays going forward. And I said, oh, sweet, WrestleMania Backlash. And then I was like, never mind, it's Mother's Day, dude. I can't have you over. So we are going to, I think, plan to watch Double or Nothing. Again, that's being Memorial Day weekend, it should be okay. Who knows? I mean, if Michigan spring continues to be the way it is, no one's going to want to be outdoors on Memorial Day weekend, because it's been just the gloomiest, coldest, rainiest, coldest. So again, I can't imagine that at the end of May we're still there. But so question 1, no. Question 2, 3.
Yeah, I was going to go 3 or 4. I have a trivia night, so if I watch it, it will be started after I get home. Given that I will probably, Mother's Day for me is a little different in that we don't have children at this point. Hopefully will change in the future. But and my mom is in Illinois, so we won't be spending. And my wife's mom is in Wisconsin, so we won't be spending time with them. We'll touch base with them and get them flowers, that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm probably not going to come home from trivia night and just go downstairs to watch this show, because as we'll talk about, I don't care a lot about what's going on this show. Sorry, WWE, you haven't made me care enough. And I might try to watch it Monday if I get a chance, but this is one of those that if I see it, great. If I don't, I'm okay. Unless on Monday I hear, or Sunday night I read that, oh my gosh, you got to go out of your way to see this match or this angle. Then I'll probably make sure I see that. But yeah, not terribly excited about this one.
Yeah, I am scoring our fantasy wrestling league, in all of the events this week, which this falls under that. So I'm going to try to not catch any spoilers over on Sunday night into Monday. Hopefully I can do that. I don't know why I would need to be scrolling on Facebook or Twitter when I should be with, my family. So getting up Monday and having this on, and to your point, if it is like a 2.5 hour event, getting it done before noon, and having it on in the background while I work to start my day and my week wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So 6 matches. Tom, you're going to get the first pick on this, and we're going to start with I believe they're maybe touting it as the greatest grudge match of all time. They're not. I'm kidding. Happy Corbin versus Madcap Moss. You made a comment before we clicked record. Do you know the story here, Tom? Why we're even having this match?
Absolutely not. No, I don't think that I can say I've watched a moment of SmackDown since WrestleMania. Good news, I actually have watched both nights of WrestleMania. I've seen everything in its entirety. Again, as a whole, enjoyable. Long nights, and also surprising that night 2 is shorter than night 1. But we're not here to talk about WrestleMania. This is the show that follows. But yeah, so you want
to give me the Reader's Digest version?
I would appreciate that. Yes.
So Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss, after Corbin lost at WrestleMania, had and I may butcher this a little bit, so apologies to anybody as you're listening to this if I say something wrong, had a version of Happy Talk, and basically Happy Corbin laid out that he lost because of Madcap Moss, because Madcap Moss was being so selfish about the Andre the Giant Memorial win and all of that. And then Madcap started telling jokes, basically making fun of Happy Corbin. Corbin jumped him, turned on him. Madcap Moss is now a babyface. Now, why they haven't changed his name to something other than Madcap Moss? Now, they've been changing names all over God's green earth. They don't want anybody to have their real name anymore, any part of their real name. My goodness, I was trying to look up what Madcap Moss's real name is.
Riddick.
Oh. Riddick Moss was what he went by before, so his real name is not Riddick or Moss. So they could go back to Riddick Moss. Then that wouldn't get in the way of their new rule about nobody being able to have their own name, because Kaylee Ray is now Alba Fire. I could go on and on about that one. Like, it's just when you've promoted these people on your program and they've won titles on your program on the USA Network, and then to just change their name to Butch or Alba Fire or whatever in the world they're calling Casey Catanzaro, Katana Chance, I think is her new name. It's absolutely maddening to me. I get it, but then do it at the beginning. Don't do it 3 years in. I get you want to own the property. I get all of that stuff. I really do. Ciampa now on Raw is just Ciampa. Theory is just Theory. Mustafa Ali, let's be honest, he's losing one of those names again. Now that he's back. So he'll probably be Madcap by the end of this stupid story. But you get the first pick anyways. There's your Reader's Digest version. Big grudge match. Madcap Moss, Happy Corbin.
I mean, so I could see this going 2 different ways. One is
there are Moss. 2 people.
Yep. Yes. I'm glad I didn't say I could go 3 ways, because then
the ref could win. Who knows?
So Moss goes over and he stays strong as a babyface to rub it in the face of Corbin, and they middle and they continue to just do this song and dance. Corbin wins, and again, we're building strong heels, which you should do. However, I feel like the whole WWE landscape isn't brand centric anymore, and we'll talk about that when we get to the main event, of course. So it really is a coin flip for me. I'm going to go Moss, because I think that having Corbin be embarrassed is, or being the guy that's, got something to fuel his story is more important. And I'm hoping I'm right.
I look at this, that the story could go one of 2 ways. Either Madcap Moss wins, like you said, or Madcap Moss loses, and next Friday, when I assume they're going to be main roster releases, since we just had a round of NXT releases on last Friday, and I'm thinking they wouldn't do the main roster ones the week before the pay-per-view because, hey, you might release somebody on this pay-per-view, and I think Madcap Moss would be the most likely person on this pay-per-view to get released. But you did just have him win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. So part of me thinks you might have a plan, but you're WWE, so you might not. So I might be giving entirely too much credit to that. I'm going to go Moss as well, just because at least if I'm booking, that's, you know what you have in Happy Corbin. You can get him hot again as a heel pretty quickly. If you're ever going to do anything with Moss, now probably is your chance. Let's see what you got there. See if he can do anything. I would go Madcap Moss. We'll move on to the next grudge match, to a rematch from WrestleMania. Stop me if you've heard that before a few more times here by the time we're done with this tonight. Omos goes against Bobby Lashley, with the new change of Omos now has a manager in MVP, which you and I both thought might have happened at WrestleMania. Didn't. It happened at the Raw after WrestleMania. So we still got there. Again, I think this would be the other spot where I could see Bobby Lashley winning and we see Omos get released a week or two later. But I don't think so. I think Omos gets his win back, even if MVP gets involved. Again, if you beat Omos twice and you beat him in the arm wrestling match that they had a couple of weeks ago on Raw, I don't know if you're going to be able to rebuild him. And then what was the point? And what was the point of putting MVP with him? Now, we asked that question a lot on this podcast. What was the point? And there may not be one. But if you're going to rebuild Omos as a monster again for some babyface down the road, whether that's Drew on SmackDown and I know he's not on Raw right now, but Cody, somebody, I think Omos needs the win here. The scary part is if Omos gets the win here, probably means we get a third match. And I don't know that I love that. I just hope it's on Raw and I can probably ignore that it happens.
Yeah, so my pick is Omos as well. I think there's going to be a lot of even Steven booking from what happened at Mania and now what happens here. Again, because they are trying to tell long-term stories. I mean, and this should be you should have the cream of the crop creatively. You sadly don't. It's been proven. There are bright spots, but these, and I think today we'll talk about a few that are not necessarily bright spots. I do think the follow-up to this could be something of a handicap match, Omos and MVP versus Lashley. And Lashley has to then, wants to get his hands on both. Can he overcome those odds? So,
and maybe that's, it's eventually Lashley getting his hands on MVP. So he has to go through Omos again to get to him, or almost protect. I like that idea, Tom. That's a story I could actually, Bobby Lashley should be one of your top baby faces, and he is. But what do your top baby faces do on Raw right now? Because Roman Reigns is the undisputed world champion, and I guess he shows up on Raw to tell you to watch SmackDown or to build to this riveting main event that we're going to talk about in a little bit here. Krabby Jim's out. Look out.
You haven't eaten yet. So
what's that?
You haven't eaten yet.
That's true. Angry Jim, maybe.
Yeah.
But I also, as much as I want Bobby Lashley to be strong, I don't think losing to Omos is going to hurt him. Omos is, 7 feet tall, 400 pounds, whatever he's built at. So losing to a huge guy like that, especially if they're shenanigans from MVP. So we're 2 for 2 on our picks. We're both picking the same. Tom, you get the first pick. Damian Priest is banned from ringside. AJ Styles will take on Edge in again, stop me if you're going to hear this tonight, a rematch from WrestleMania.
Yeah, so again, having most recently seen and caught up on WrestleMania, the idea behind Priest showing up at ringside in that match and then aligning with Edge, and they're calling themselves Judgment Day, which is kind of interesting. I don't think we're done seeing people add to Judgment Day, so I think the stipulation here is a little bit of a red herring, because just because Priest doesn't mean the third member or more of Judgment Day doesn't show up on Sunday night. I'm going to stick with the even Steven booking and say that Styles gets the win. However, I'm probably least confident about that of the matches that I think are rematches. I do think if a third person comes, that helps Edge win, and then it builds Styles' like story to want to get more revenge, and how and whenever that may pay off. It is long-term storytelling. And again, maybe it's not a pinfall. Maybe AJ wins by DQ because of the third person. Again, we don't have to pick, how the match is going to end. Just pick winner and loser. So I'm 55-45. I'm AJ. So AJ is my pick.
And if you were going to pick who that third person might be,
I believe it's Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, that's my thought too. I laughed while you were saying all of that because I thought maybe that was my ace in the hole, was that storyline that that Damian Priest being banned from ringside is absolutely a red herring. I think the exact same thing. I think we do see a third person here, and I think it leads to Edge getting the win. So we do have a difference here. I think they do that so that then they can build to next month is Hell in a Cell. And you could do AJ and Edge and Hell in a Cell with the Cell keeping Judgment Day out. It would actually be something that, especially if they made this vicious enough, and they have done a lot of this, like the early angle that led to the Wrestlemania match with the hair toe and that. So you could tell a story where this has been violent and enough that a Hell in a Cell could be warranted. Because right now I think they're hurting for feuds that actually feel like within the next month can end up in a Hell in a Cell. Another match we're going to talk about in a minute a couple more matches could. I just don't feel like they've necessarily been built to that level of hatred. I think this one's on the cusp that it could go there. And if Judgment Day grows with Rhea Ripley showing up perhaps at ringside, much like Damian Priest did at WrestleMania, and doesn't really necessarily interfere, but maybe causes AJ to slip when he's going for the forearm, or much like Damian Priest, kind of the same finish almost. Be a little careful, do something a little different in it, please. But that I could see that leading to Hell in a Cell. Not that we've ever not that it's been unheard of to see people get inside the Hell in a Cell though too. Maybe AJ beats all of Judgment Day in Hell in a Cell. I don't know. Ciampa was ruined. Maybe, but was rumored at one time. Hopefully they don't ruin him. I love that guy, so I like Ciampa a lot. So I'm excited to see him in Raw and hope they actually use him well. Don't have a lot of high hopes because it's WWE, but so here's a funny thing. Just Ciampa made me think of it. How many people are left from NXT Black and Gold, which only turned to 2.0 back in September? How many people can you think of that are really left from the Black and Gold to now? Like in NXT.
In NXT 2.0?
Still in NXT.
I mean, weren't the tag team of Toxic Attraction there for a minute before the 2.0 switch?
They might have been there for a minute. Yeah. I mean, so how many that maybe were at all featured in Black and Gold, not in just job roles or something like that? Because there are some of those folks.
I mean, Roderick Strong, but he's disappeared.
Yeah. Well, no, he's there.
I'm guessing he maybe then was on TV this week, and I'm saying disappeared because I feel like I haven't seen him in the results lately. I know he had a match.
Oh, he hasn't been in the results necessarily, but he has been in some backstage stuff the last.
Got it. Yeah.
Roddy, Cameron Grimes was another one I thought of.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I felt like there was one. Oh, Indy Hartwell a little bit because she was there with the Way. But man, yeah, it's been gutted. That's all I'm saying. It's been gutted. Ciampa though could perhaps join this, although it seems like they're doing something with him and Ali, Mustafa Ali. So although Mustafa is also working with The Miz and Theory, and Mustafa came back, got himself like 6 feuds all at once. So good for him. I like Mustafa Ali.
Catching up for lost time.
Absolutely. They got a bunch of months of feuds to make up, so we're just going to have them run through them all. So I'm going Edge on this one. So we have our first difference. I'm with you. I'm not real confident on that one at all, but I'm going to go Edge. The next one is shocker. It's a rematch from WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes is taking on Seth Rollins. I like the story they've told of Seth wanting this match because he didn't have time to prepare for Cody Rhodes, but Cody had time to prepare for Seth last time. So he wants it on an even keel. I like that story. That makes sense to me. It gives good reason why Seth would want the rematch. Cody's a babyface, of course he agrees to it. This is one where I struggle. I'm going to be honest, because the 50-50 booking is a real disease in WWE. They love their 50-50 booking. And if they 50-50 book this, obviously that's Seth Rollins because Cody got the win at WrestleMania. I don't think you should give Cody his first loss a month after he comes back. I just don't. And Seth Rollins losing doesn't hurt Seth Rollins. He's Teflon. He's fine. I just don't think you should, but I think they might. So that's what worries me. This one definitely feels like it could be Seth, and then you set up a third match, maybe inside Hell in a Cell, although, I don't feel this has been quite heated enough. You could do something at WrestleMania Backlash to get it there, to make it heated enough. Have Seth Rollins, instead of just being his weird laughter self, have him go full off evil again. He can do it. We've seen it.
A two-part question then for you.
Yeah.
Do you think now WWE cares about wins and losses, and why don't you think Cody's also Teflon?
No, I don't think WWE cares as much about wins and losses, other than the fact that they do 50-50 booking. Why don't I think Cody is Teflon? I think he's close to it. He could take loss, and especially if they have Seth win in some sort of shenanigan way, low blow or something. I just think you want Cody to be special.
I think you and I and others want Cody to be special, and we want them to want Cody to be special. But what's not going to happen? That's the problem. That's the problem, Jim.
So with everything if I'm booking, Cody Rhodes gets this win. Vince McMahon's booking. So I'm going to go Seth Rollins and shake my head when it happens on Sunday. Although I'll be glad that I got the point here in our head-to-head. And, I don't have either of these guys in FWL, so it's not going to matter there. I'm going to pick Seth. Cody will be fine. This is not burying Cody Rhodes, and there are going to be people on Twitter, if Seth wins, that are going, well, look, they buried Cody Rhodes. They just killed the AEW guy when he came in. Make him lose. Shut up. He's fine. He will be fine. I think Cody Rhodes is the most likely guy to take the title off of Roman at this point. At some point here in the summer, maybe. But I'm going to pick Seth. I just don't think it's the right decision. Not that it hurts Cody with the loss. I just think you want Cody. I think Cody could be made very, very special. And he probably will still be at some level. But that's my argument with booking. And I'm going Seth.
So the backdoor way to get out of taking luster off of Cody would be to have Seth win, not by pinfall. Count out, DQ, something like that. Still giving us the reason for the third match, but Cody stays a little bit more pure than having, taken the pedigree and losing to Seth Rollins or whatever the finisher might be.
I will be a little surprised if it's a clean pedigree 1, 2, 3 finish. That would surprise me.
Yeah,
or whatever they use.
And before I just give more opinion briefly on just the whole idea of the booking of Cody Rhodes and what they could do, because I think that's a good part of what we discuss here. Rollins is my pick as well. So again, I'm going 3 straight matches that are all rematches with the opposite guy winning, coming out of what happened at Mania and now what happens here. But to your point, to what we discussed a little bit, you are spot on, and I think very right to go. If WWE brought Cody Rhodes back, which they clearly did, and they are making an investment in him, and I'm sure they had ideas, and there was a meeting between he and Vince, and they probably said, let's talk about the next 12 months. Let's talk about Mania 38 to Mania 39. What do we want to do in the next 12 months? How do we make money together?
You actually think this meeting happened?
I know it happened, but again, whether it happened and whether Vince remembers it happened, or whether what was agreed to or not agreed to, or in principle or in theory, and not Austin, all of that stuff. You could have said, this is it. Cody could have come in and go, listen, I don't want to come and bring the baggage or the tropes of where I came from here. But I do think fans care about wins and losses. I do think fans care about getting behind someone who builds momentum on their path to a title shot. If they had said, you know what, you're right, we don't want to mimic AEW, but we actually, Cody, can really agree with you and with your father's legacy and with your story, with what you did here before you left and how you made yourself and came back, and now here you are as the American Nightmare. Let's take the ball and run with it. Well, taking the ball and run with it would mean that you have to beat people along the way. So as opposed to having this match here, like we're getting, the right thing, in my opinion, if they were to go with that story, would have been, you know what, guess what? You don't do the rematch here. Cody goes, Seth, you know what? You can have your opinion that I was ready for you, you weren't ready for me, but I won, and that's that. And I'm here to win titles and to cement my legacy. I'm headed in other directions. And so here's the thing: you build the anticipation for this match so much more down the line. And then you have Cody move and build the resume by beating other people. Now, who do I have in Cody's or Seth's place here? If it's not Seth for Cody, I don't know. I haven't given that much thought. But I'm just kind of pontificating on the spot here about a different way that they could have told the story, building off what you shared. And I think that we share a similar opinion that we'd like to see that. That's the type of wrestling and storytelling that speaks to us as fans.
You have more faith than I do that they talked that far in advance. And I hope they would, because again, back in the old days, here we go, get off my lawn. They booked from WrestleMania backwards, and that makes sense to me. And of course you have to be ready to pivot along the way, because things change. People get hurt, people get sick. People get over better than you thought. People don't get over as well as you thought. I just, if they thought, where do we want Cody Rhodes to be at WrestleMania 39? If they've had that discussion, kudos to them, because I just don't know that I think they have. I hope they have, though. All right, so again, our one difference right now is AJ Styles and Edge. I've got Edge, you got Styles. SmackDown Women's Title I Quit match. Charlotte Flair defends against Ronda Rousey in, I know this is shocking, a WrestleMania rematch. I guess it's called WrestleMania Backlash, so we might as well just, maybe it should be WrestleMania rematch, but yeah. So, Tom, you get the first pick on the SmackDown Women's Title I Quit match, which, by the way, we don't have a Raw Women's Title match because they burned that off on Raw a couple weeks ago.
And so I was at this match in my viewing of WrestleMania Night 1 when we last recorded. And I think you wanted to ask me something about this match. I don't know if you can recall that, or if you... I think you were like, hey, have you seen that match yet? Or did you see the finish? And because I think it plays into this, or it definitely plays into this. The what happened and the why at Mania between these two is...
Can you remind me what the finish was?
Yeah, so... I want to say Ronda had a victory, or had a perceived victory, but the referee made a judgment call, and Ronda was not happy about that. And then that distraction allowed Charlotte to get the pinfall.
Okay.
Again, it's been 10 days plus, and a head cold since I've watched it, so the recall is a little foggy. Nonetheless, I think because of all of that, and because again I think we share the same opinion that based on what's out there, a co-main event of WrestleMania 39 in Los Angeles is going to be Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey. And
if it's not, they're insane.
Yeah, it's the money match in terms of the women's division as of right now. I think the only other match that you could potentially get to that point would be Bianca Ronda. But there's not enough history there yet, and that would take a lot of time and building in the next year or 11 months to get there. I think Ronda wins the belt here. I think she unseats Charlotte. Could they hold it off one more month and do it in Hell in a Cell? Absolutely. I don't know why you do that to Rousey. Again, I thought it was ballsy to not have her win at Mania, only because she's one of your unicorns. So you need to treat the unicorn, with, the awe that comes with it. That didn't happen. Again, not necessarily bad, but surprising.
Yeah, Rousey's my pick here. This is we talk about confidence points with our FWL picks, with our fantasy wrestling league pick'ems. This will be my sixth. It's the one I'm most sure of. 50-50 booking again. Here we go. But yeah, if they push it off one more month, it's almost going to feel like, come on, really? Do I think we could still then see the third match inside Hell in a Cell? Absolutely. I think that's a very, very real possibility in a month's time. But yeah, I think Rousey gets the win here, especially with the I quit stipulation. I can't see Ronda Rousey saying I quit unless they do some sort of like Rock Mankind thing where you tape it from 3 hours ago and play it over the PA, and run that angle again. I can't see Rousey capping or saying I quit, especially this early into however long this run lasts, whether it's all the way through WrestleMania 39 or she leaves for a little bit and comes back around 39 or who knows. Yeah, you got to get to Rousey Becky, I think. Honestly, somebody on the one of the Fightful podcasts I was listening to made the comment that they think Bianca should wrestle either Charlotte and probably Charlotte next year, or Bayley, and then have her wrestle the other one at WrestleMania 40 and have her beat the 4 horsewomen in 4 straight WrestleManias. And I was like, that would actually be a really cool story to tell. And she's already got 2 of them. So again, if they actually think that through enough, and if Becky Rousey is one of the main events of WrestleMania 39, Bianca Charlotte would make a whole lot of sense as your other top women's match with the other women's belt, whichever way they go with that. Maybe Bianca Charlotte's the Raw title and Becky Ronda's the SmackDown. Who knows? But
you have a lot of faith that they're going to have two belts by that time.
Well, they haven't tried to combine these yet, but let's just go there. We were supposed to get a Raw.
I was trying to make you read the tea leaves, but yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and there I went. We were supposed to have a Raw Tag Team Title Unification match, which seemingly would have main evented, or maybe the SmackDown Women's title would have main evented in that world, between the Usos and RK Bro. But because RK Bro attacked the Usos, I guess, Paul Heyman got it switched to a 6-man, and Drew was involved in that as well. And so it's now just a 6-man tag match, no winner take all stip or any, whoever pins somebody wins their title or nothing like that. Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, and Riddle in a match that should happen on SmackDown before or after Backlash. It should not happen at Backlash. This is lazy booking, stupid, doesn't make any sense. What are you doing? You just combined your titles, and Roman Reigns hasn't bothered to defend the dumb things since then. And looks like he probably won't defend it until maybe at Hell in a Cell, Money in the Bank, SummerSlam. I don't know. When's he going to get around to defending the title? We have no rule anymore on that. Apparently, we have the 6-month rule. You can just hang on to a belt forever and never defend it. If you're in AEW, they'll create an interim title if you're going to miss one title defense. But in WWE, you can just have 2 belts and never defend either one of them. Breathe, Jim. This is dumb. It seems like Drew and Reigns is the program. I think Drew, I thought they were going to hold this off a little bit. Maybe they just keep running it, but I thought they would hold this off. I could have seen Drew and Reigns as the main event of the Clash at the Castle, or whatever it is they're calling in September. And maybe it still will be. That would have made a lot of sense. Somebody said, we'll have Drew beat Reigns and then have Drew and Gunther and that would be cool. I don't think WWE's going to do it. But for the fans in the UK, that would be very, very cool to have 2 of their guys in the main event. But yeah, much more likely to have one of them going against Roman or something like that in the main event. So they may go to that anyways. But it seems like that's where it's going. I think is it my pick? Yeah, it's my pick. Yep. 2 different ways you could tell this story. Either Drew pins one of the Usos, and so they have the Drew won the match, but he didn't pin Roman. Or tag team members pin each other some way. Somebody pins somebody from the tag teams. I don't think Roman Reigns factors in unless he pins Riddle. That's the only person I can see him pinning. Maybe Randy Orton. But again, you could do that too, much like Drew pinning one of the Usos. this doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't get it. So I'm gonna pick. I'm throwing a dart on this one because to me, I feel like Drew should be on the winning side to then earn a title shot or have a stake for a title shot. And yet I have a hard time seeing a pay-per-view go off the air with anybody, Roman Reigns, standing there with the title belts in the air. Because that's how every pay-per-view has ended for the last year and a half. But I'm going to go with Drew, Randy, and Riddle because I think that gets Drew to his title match, and I think it gives Randy and Riddle a chance to say, now we want that title unification match. Put them up, Usos. I don't know who pins who. I'm a little bit lost on that. Maybe it's Drew pinning an Uso. Maybe it's Randy pinning somebody. Look, the cool way to do this would be Riddle pins Roman Reigns. Oh, my goodness. Like, you could make somebody. Drew would still be up there because he'd get the win. He'd have a chance. But you could really start to elevate Riddle. Look, they're not going to do it. If Riddle pins Roman Reigns, I don't know. I'm not going to make I'm hangry, so I'm not going to say like I'm going to eat a hat live on TV, live on YouTube. But I'd be stunned. But that's what I would love to see. But I don't think it happens. But Drew, Randy, and Riddle, and I totally could be wrong on that.
I don't think you are. That's my pick as well. And I think that, so I'm going to go back to what I said a little bit earlier. I think that we're seeing rosters begin to merge, which is really weird because it seemed like for the longest time, at least the execs, I'm going to call them the execs of USA Network and Fox, wanted unique characters that drove their shows and made their viewing be something that viewers were drawn to. We've seen a lot less of that exclusivity, even though there has been some since Mania. I think we're going to continue that trend in the months to come. I may be wrong. We may be back here in August, and you may go, well, they tried it for a month, and clearly, it is what it is. Kind of like whatever that gimmick was where they, had you can, once every 3 months, you can switch brands and challenge somebody else for whatever. Whatever that was called. You remember what was the name of that thing they called the Superstar Swappers? I don't know, like
something like that.
Some goofy thing. But I think this is their effort or their attempt to begin changing from short impact booking to more long-term booking. And I think the Drew Roman story is maybe the first effort in this process. Because I do see Drew getting the title shot at Clash at the Castle. Now, do I think that that's the first time he gets a title shot? No. I think he needs to get a shot at Roman. I don't know when. Probably Hell in a Cell. And lose. And then Roman says, you're not getting the shot back. And then Drew wins at Money in the Bank to stake his claim. And then something, I don't know what would happen at SummerSlam. I haven't been able to pull the pieces together. But then out of that, we get to Clash at the Castle, and then Drew gets the challenge. I do love your idea of Riddle winning and getting a shot at Roman because that would be fun and entertaining and something where Roman could look vulnerable, but, put another notch in his belt by beating Riddle. It would even be more impactful if Riddle only gets the win after Drew McIntyre hits Claymore. Again, I think you and I have come up with at least half a dozen ideas in the 48 minutes we've been talking, and not all that time on WWE, way more than what their creative team has done. And again, I'm sure they would love to challenge me on that. Well, you're not in the business, kid. You're right, I'm not. But clearly, if I'm being thoughtful and thinking of it from a logistical, critical eye, as we both are, there are other fans out there that do care and do want to be rewarded for the investment they're making when they watch your product. So I think the show ends on Sunday with Drew McIntyre and maybe sword in hand, celebrating as the show goes off the air.
I mean, at least he got to cut the ropes at WrestleMania, right? It was a spectacle, I guess. Whatever. All right. So looking at it, we have one difference, which is Edge and AJ Styles. So that's going to determine, do I get a 3-match lead or does Tom close the gap? I'll still have the lead after the show, which is kind of nice. With only a couple of shows left, I think the last We'll have 3 more to pick now with Forbidden Door. We'll have Double or Nothing. We'll have Hell in a Cell, and we'll have Forbidden Door. Am I forgetting anything?
Nope, that's it. And thank goodness for AEW, because I feel like without AEW, I don't have a chance. But I think and watch, I'll say that in a month from now when we pick, 3 weeks from now when we pick, we'll be like identical across the board.
It could be, but I hope I've expanded my lead and just trying to decide what figure I want by that point. But well, Tom, it's been good to connect with you on a late night podcast recording. Nobody joined us live, not shocking with the hour that we're recording at. But whenever you listen to this, I'll get it out on the podcast feed, probably in the morning, Thursday morning, to everybody. And if you catch it on YouTube, great. We appreciate you being here, Tom. Always a pleasure to be with you. Anything you want to say before we wrap this thing up?
Well, I just to end, not that we ended on a down note with Wrestlemania Backlash picks, but I want to ask you: do you want to know what the tournament brackets are for the Owen Hart Memorial Cup men's side without any spoilers?
Sure. Don't tell me who wins the qualifiers from tonight. Just say qualifier from tonight.
Yep.
Because there were 2 qualifiers tonight, right? Ray and Dante, and then.
Yep, and then Bobby Fish versus Jeff Hardy.
Bobby Fish, Jeff Hardy. Thank you. I was thinking Jeff Hardy was in one.
Yep. So on the
can I just say too how much I don't care about the Hardys in AEW? Anyways,
just wait till you watch that match and just soak it all in, man.
Soak it all in.
All right. So the right side of the bracket, as you'll see them on your screen when they actually visually get revealed to you when you get to watch AEW, it is the winner of Jeff Hardy, Bobby Fish versus Darby Allin. And Adam Cole versus Dax Harwood.
That's an interesting match. Okay.
Left side of the bracket, the winner of Dante Martin, Ray Phoenix versus Kyle O'Reilly, and Samoa Joe versus the Joker.
Oh, there's a Joker.
There's a Joker.
I hadn't caught that we'd only qualified 7 out of the 8. Well, the Joker could be interesting.
Yes. And again, you wouldn't have known until tonight about the Joker because they just shared. But like they could have realistically announced a qualifier for Rampage tonight.
True.
Rampage is on at 5:30 Eastern on Friday.
Yes.
Just if you hadn't heard that yet.
I will still be at work when the Rampage is on at 4:30 in the afternoon my time.
Pretty funny. So
California, 2:30. 2:30 in the afternoon it's on.
Yeah, Jim Ross makes a comment about it's on during happy hour, which probably
pretty much.
From Jim Ross, I don't know that that's what you want to be saying. So just on that alone, not knowing who actually qualifies, real quick thoughts on the tournament, because when we talk next week, we'll be into the tournament. So
those brackets sound very interesting to me. I think Ray or Dante versus Kyle O'Reilly sounds like a really cool match. I think the Joker is always interesting to me because it always gets built up, and then who is it? Please don't make it Satnam Singh. Let's not do that yet. Let's wait. Hold off on that. We'll get there. I'm going to guess that Jeff Hardy beats Bobby Fish, and so you get Jeff Hardy, Darby Allin, because that seems like a match AEW would want to do. Maybe not, though. Maybe you save that for some later time and watch me not care. Because the Hardys just are doing nothing for me on this run. And then Adam Cole Dax, I just think that's going to be a good match. Like, there's no chance Dax wins that, I don't think. But I wouldn't be stunned to see Darby Allin win the whole darn thing, to be honest. I could see him being I'm trying to think who would they want to honor Owen by lifting up. I feel like it's going to be a baby face. But I don't know. If it's not him, I could see Joe winning the whole darn thing too. Just because he's.
Well, I look forward to having you find out who qualifies, and then there's at least one opening round match next Wednesday. There may be more by the time we get there. So we'll at least have one in the bag, and then maybe a timeline for the rest. And then the women's tournament should also kick off. There's another qualifier on Rampage. And there might be a Joker for the women's tournament too. They didn't really give that a lot of time tonight. because they focus on other aspects of their women's division, which I won't say more, but it's good stuff. So
good. Well, and I know they've got the Ring of Honor women's title match. So and I hope I was right in my guess, because I picked up my girl Mercedes in the Fantasy Wrestling League, try to get me some points. So
my girl Mercedes.
Let's get me some points. That's what we're looking for here. So I don't know why I just did that accent. It's late. That's what I'll say.
Well, thanks for humoring me with that brief AEW snippet. I feel like that ends us on a little bit more positive, exciting note.
Right. I am very excited to watch Dynamite, as I always am, and see where this tournament heads. Love me a tournament. You love a tournament. We're running 2 of them, and New Japan's running the Best of Super Juniors tournament. There's a bunch of interesting matchups in that tournament that I will have absolutely no time to watch, so I'm not even going to try. Wish I could, but I love that they're able to get some folks over there, some American wrestlers and Mexican and other nationalities, so they can mix it back up a little bit and not be as just New Japan juniors like they've had to do the last couple of years. So I love that that's happening. Makes me salivating for the G1 to think about who could go over and work the G1 and things that could happen. I mean, there's all those people. We got Wheeler Yuta over there. There's a couple other guys in Blackpool Combat Club that I would love to see in the G1.
Yeah.
And then I would have to try to make time to watch the G1. And I don't know where that comes from. So,
and I saw a tweet that, like, now because of the dollar and because of the yen, like, that New Japan World is like less than $8 a month. Like, that's
it's such a great deal, and it's such a great deal that I have absolutely no time to watch.
Yeah, just here's the thing: just stop working and just all you do is watch wrestling.
Why didn't I play the Powerball last week when it was almost $500 million? Tom, there is a Powerball winner for $1 million that hasn't claimed their prize. I saw in Michigan. So I don't know if you played, but you might want to check those numbers.
Not me, sadly.
Not you. Sad to hear. Well, everybody, have a safe week and weekend. We will be back hopefully on Friday of next week with kind of our normal early morning recording, get it out to everybody for the weekend. So
Backlash takeaways,
yes.
Or laments. Or AEW talk. Maybe we'll talk about a draft again. I know we want to rewatch and do a retro review of WrestleMania 5 that a listener had requested. So we haven't lost sight of that. Hang with us. I promise we'll get it to you before it shows up in your Christmas stocking.
Absolutely. Well, everybody have a great week, and we will talk to you again soon here on Two Spot Monkeys Live.